I figured I'd roll the dice on something new since a number of stories in the entertainment world hit all at once. Too small individually for a dedicated episode, but collectively suffice for a news roundup. I can't promise this will be a regular addition to the channel since it's completely contingent on the timing of news items. However, one promising observation that bodes well for this segment's return in future installments is the different forms of entertainment in this roundup mirror those of my channel's inaugural episode, Stagnation Nation. With that out of the way, let's jump right in.
News team, assemble! All right.
Today's top story, WandaVision fan reception. For so long, people criticized Marvel for relying on too many safe bets and paint-by-numbers filming, forecasting struggles for the studio post-Endgame for not having taken chances. So, their debut streaming program takes not one, but two chances, and crybabies still complain. Last time I saw a knee-jerk reaction this brutal, it came at the business end of a Spartan boot. What two chances am I referring to? A. Assuming an I Love Lucy era vibe, especially for an audience whose nostalgia only dates back 40 years, and B. Reverting to weekly episodes instead of the streaming standard of binge-watching. As far as the whimpering that it's boring, no, it's not boring. It has its charm and the Marvel humor you've come to expect. Fans have grown far too accustomed to shootouts and explosions that, when they're not treated to that, they think there's a story missing. Well, you're partially right. It's you who's lost the narrative. Give it at least until halfway through the series before you light the torches and grab your pitchforks. I guess we should be happy that the liberal hacktivists aren't bellyaching that there isn't enough period-specific depictions of racism. Let me not give them ideas. If you want something to complain about, whine about the length of the end credits. Seriously, 7 minutes worth of cast and crew shoutouts? That's 1/3 of your show's runtime. What is this, a Triple H segment on Mundane Night Raw? Speaking of the game...
Time to play the game.
RE spillage. Werewolves, witches, vampires, oh my!
How many times must I smack you before you act right? 1, 2, 2 smacks!
Wasn't RE4 Resident Evil Village? Just to show you how invested Capcom is in this desperate reach of a reach-around of a sequel, they're not just rehashing locations that are a decade and a half old, but, rumor has it, they're recycling resources from 4 games ago. That released 4 years ago. I fully understand that a franchise must evolve in order to avoid stagnation, but, newsflash, it cannot, must not, overhaul its identity to the point that it no longer resembles its core ingredients. This franchise has had so many Botox injections, makeovers, and lipo that it's grown unrecognizable. The trailers and demo for RE8 revealing gothic monsters and settings from a franchise about zombies and viral mutations has indeed jumped the shark and off the deep end. I'm at my wit's end with this series because, frankly, they've had far more misses than hits and enough second chances that run into the double digits. From this point on, you've passed the point of no return. If this studio refuses to right this ship after it's been course corrected, they're welcome to uphold that oldest and noblest of naval traditions. The Capcom goes down with the boat once it sinks. You can only crash into the iceberg so many times before you start hemorrhaging fans.
And now here's Ollie Williams with the Blackie weather forecast. Ollie?
It's gonna rain!
Thanks, Ollie.
Terror Titans trailer.
This thing is headed our way, but the key to the forecast, right before this thing makes landfall, it is going to be deflected by Godzilla. Now, a lot can change between now and then. We're looking at the latest data. We'll continue to bring you the very latest.
Of all the utter failures at a cinematic universe, yes, that includes your precious Conjuring trash and Blumhouse rehash, this is the only one I've ever looked forward to. I realize even though they're monsters, it's technically an action film, so I am hoping for a slugfest. It would have been swell had the Monsterverse stuck the landing of the 2014 film's serious tone of these creatures as natural disasters, but at this point I'll take what I can get. I'm even willing to tolerate the trope of kid in a monster movie and Millie Bobby Brown's Adam's apple. The sight of these two duking it out on a battleship is admittedly badass.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Third time's the charm.
You want me to put the hammer down?
Place your bets.
And now sports. Undertaker calls WWE Product Soft. And in other news, grass is green, the sun rises in the east, and Brie Larson can't act. Let's make a deal. I'll spare you the "don't question a legend" racket, so long as you stifle your old curmudgeon behind the times rhetoric. Both ideologies are wrong, and I'll show you why. So, when fans blame Vince McMahon, as they should, they're justified. But when a 30-year veteran of the business blames the locker room, thin-skinned fanboys and snowflake rustlers alike predictably resort to petulant tantrums, which in turn prove the man right by virtue of their hormonal reactions. Well done! Let's Tarantino this story in reverse by first taking a look at the petty responses by the sulking teenagers I refer to as the Obliviati. Xavier Woods. I wouldn't be the person that I am without the guidance and lessons of a few key people from the previous generation of wrestling. They taught me about the business to save my money, and that having video games in the locker room is healthier than having redacted. Thank you, guys.
Bitch, please.
Oh, Xavier Woods, what biting commentary, what pearls of wisdom. More like pearl necklace considering how suspect you act. And now we go to Drew McIntyre's response to The Undertaker. Today's WWE roster's the best ever. This just in, I'm receiving word that reigning world champion Drew McIntyre doesn't draw ratings as a main eventer. Management has reduced him to holding a sword to compensate for character and resorted to a skirt to cover up his lack of personality. You heard it here first. Let's dive into the interview transcript. Undertaker, quote, I try. It's tough right now for me because the product has changed so much. It's kind of soft, you know? I'll probably piss a lot of people off, but they need to hear it. There is too much pretty and not enough substance, I think, right now. no signs of soft boys in this ring. I can't imagine what the Undertaker's referring to. Taker continues, the generation before, we all got old at the same time, so there weren't enough guys to work with the young guys. I disagree. The younger generation may not have had The Rock or Stone Cold to work with, but guys like Cena, Edge, Batista, and Orton did have guys like Triple H, HBK, Undertaker, and Kurt Angle to work with. And sorry, but wrestlers today had plenty of blueprints of past legends to go by or converse with. I mean, why did these guys want to get into wrestling to begin with if they had no idea what character they wanted to be? And then, you also have too many people that they're on the internet. Well, these guys on the internet say, I'm pretty good. It's like, okay, well, you can listen to them, or you can listen to somebody who has been there and done it. Wow, so all that faith in internet maestros who've never written a show or made an iconic character has landed these young bucks and the business nowhere. Casual audiences who don't even recognize a name like Dave Meltzer, consider yourself lucky, but the good thing is, you don't even have to. I'll just ask, who would you rather take advice from? Movie critics like Siskel and Ebert or Steven Spielberg? Yes, follow the guidance of professional detractors who've never worked a day in their life for an industry that suffers under their influence. So, if listening to the prophets of pro wrestling was ordained to lead us to the promised land, why hasn't another boom period taken place like that of the late 90s to usher in modern household names like Goldberg, Hulk Hogan, and oh yes, The Undertaker? Oops!
Oopsie doopsie, I muffed it up again.
We had Stone Cold and Rock and Triple H, Shawn Michaels, all these guys. We were all working together and we were making money and we were drawing. Making money and drawing. Can you honestly name any member of the AEW Elite having this conversation? Can you even name any of the members of the Elite? We kind of aged out, and then it just left all these young guys to learn with more young guys, and the product changed. The PC, the training center, is helping. We've got Triple H. He's trying to get some of that toothpaste back in the tube. He's trying to move it back, to kind of take a step back, to move forward, to give the product a little more edge. I think that's what's missing. Here's where Taker and I part company. The idea of the training center is sound, but if I just got done name-dropping one Bush League wrestling company, what is Triple H's pissant third-rate brand going to do to fix anything when NXT consistently loses in the ratings to AEW? Who exactly has come out of NXT under Triple H's shepherding that can remotely be described as edgy? Finn Balor? Porky Owens? Seth Freak Accident Rollins? Taker closes this out. I remember walking into my first real deal dressing room, and all I saw were some crusty effing men. Half of them had guns and knives in their bags. Ish got handled back then. Now you walk in, there's guys playing video games and effing making sure they look pretty. I liked when men were men. Now look, I can understand that an elder statesman can look at video games as childish. After our parents telling us video games were a waste of time, how good does it feel that Let's Plays and Twitch streams prove them wrong to the point that you can make money off of them? I just saw this meme the other day, and there's a lot of validity there. Hell, I'm gearing up for the launch of my gaming streams on a sister platform to the Mind's Eye. Playing video games does not automatically guarantee nerdiness, but don't kid yourself. Not every gamer in a WWE locker room has a streaming account or an audience following, and you know exactly the type of stereotypical dweeb that Taker is referring to. You can just see Xavier Woods geeking out over Cyberpunk instead of working on his craft and making himself a compelling character in his industry instead of making a girlfriend for himself in a video game. Remember the golden rule, boys and girls. Criticize the office, never criticize the talent. This has been your Four Corner Coroner's Report from the Mind's Eye News Network. I've been Inkubus, reminding you that no news is good news.
You stay classy, San Diego.